you were mentioned by the New York Times. You had stock in some of those uranium companies that benefited from that buyout by I guess it was a Russian company, and you also gave quite a bit of money to the Clinton Foundation, and you say the New York Times should not have mentioned your name along with others in regard to that, and you need to put the timing into perspective. So when did you buy the uranium stock? When did you give the money to the Clinton Foundation?
Well, it goes back to 2002, 2003. We were very early that whole resource cycle, and many times I was on your program talking about this big secular bull market. So we were buying uranium stocks like Denison Mines at 20 below cash per share, and these went up 10 and 20-fold. We also, in 2003, were buying PetroChina, and that stock had doubled in the 2003. In 2004, these things start to take off. So the uranium space, we had many stocks in that whole category, and we sold. And before it became with Kazakhstan, that the government got involved, et cetera, and all that drama that's taken place in 2010, whatever these other dates are, we were long gone before 2008.
So you had Uranium One stock. When did you buy it, and when did you sell it?
Well, Joe, I bought so many companies. I bought a cluster because we were in a secular bull market, and uranium prices had gone through $10 a pound.
You don't remember this specific company? You know, and so you didn't own it after it was acquired?
Another name.
You didn't own it when it was acquired by the Russians?
By what the date is. I bought it early, and I sold it before 2008. So that's really the whole drama there. And as it comes for charitable giving, I give to a lot of companies. In particular, orphanages I've given to right in San Antonio, to Sudan, to other places in the world to help poor kids, because many of our resource funds are investing in emerging countries where there's high-risk zones. I give to the International Crisis Group, which is really concerned with conflict, high-risk areas.
But the suggestion is
I've been investing in Africa for a long time.
We're not really interested. I mean, God bless you for doing it. But when did you donate? Right. What was it? 250, 500? When did you donate to the Clinton Foundation? What year?
Oh, I think I started like 2006 or 7 and giving money to it. And I would show up at the annual meeting of the CGI, and I've seen CNBC there, and Becky has been there. I've seen them in the hallways at those events. So that's where I really became involved with it.
But the deal wasn't approved by the government until 2000. You sold the stock in 2008?
Well, we were gone long before all of that as our key investment, because we bought a whole basket. In fact, after that whole event, Global X came out with an ETF for all these junior uranium stocks. And we thought that they were extremely overvalued because, as you recall, uranium prices went up like oil prices. They're almost in tandem. And it went to this peak in a frenzy. And we sold many of these names because it became extremely overvalued.
Right. All right.
But the suggestion is that you donated money to a foundation that was connected with the possibility of approval of a deal that you may have benefited from. Is that incorrect?
No, that's a lot of disinformation. That's just a political battle this year, and it's the same type of story I think came out 7 years ago. I think it's really a harsh story, especially against Frank Giustra, Ian Telfer. I mean, these guys created a company called Silver Wheaton. They're West Coast, like venture capitalists in San Francisco. They're in the resource sector, and they would find the best people, the best properties, put capital together, and say, here's a vision. So you think of Silver Wheaton today has the highest cash flow per share on the New York Stock Exchange, per employee. And you have serious fund managers owning big positions, huge profit margin. This concept was created by Frank Giustra and Ian Telfer.
Right.
Right, but all that's very interesting, but still the question is, were you in a position to benefit from approval of this deal at the same time that you were writing checks to the Clinton Foundation?
No, I had no idea of any of those two events. They're two separate events because I've said earlier, I give to many different types of charitable organizations. I've given more to the International Crisis Group than I have to Clinton's organization. And I think both of them do a great job in helping America look great and helping people in these other countries look at America in a very positive way.
When people finish watching this interview, they're going to say it wasn't unequivocal on your part and that there wasn't a lot of clarity.
I don't understand. I have no idea what, like, you're making conjecture. There's lots of conjecture.
I'm just giving you the opportunity to be clear.
I think that's just wrong. It's a political battle between some of the press in New York that do not like the Clintons and other people that have been involved. And CNBC's had a studio at the CGI event every year. So I don't know what all that conflict means. All I do know is that they do a great job in these emerging countries.
Frank, we got to go, but we'll give you one last shot at it. Just in a sentence or two, if unequivocally, is there anything you want to say? Because right now it's all a big haze for us. And nobody's
There's no haze. I have a global investment company, and I invest in many different resource companies in many different countries. And I give to a lot of charitable organizations.
Unfortunately, I don't think it speaks to the answer, but
actually, I think people are the Clinton Foundation itself. I don't know if you saw Peggy Noonan's piece over the weekend, Frank. I mean, I've seen the pictures of the president in Africa as well, but Better Business Bureau in 2013 said it failed to meet the minimum standards of accountability and transparency. And it's pretty not a great review about the amount of money that actually goes out from it and what the actual purpose for the foundation is. But anyway, you're right. We do. I think we do have a booth there at times, and there is good work done. Anyway, Frank, thank you. We appreciate it, and we'll the Jets. Maybe the Jets will do better than the Jets we're familiar with.
I believe so.
Okay.